Well, hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Holy Donuts podcast. I'm Matt Lombardi and joined today by Sadie Brandon. Sadie, how you doing today?
Great. Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Yeah. Thanks for showing up, for joining us. You've got a ton of experience working with faith-based organizations on the digital marketing front. How did you kind of get into this? Give us a little bit of your background, give us the fancy titles, kind of what you're doing these days.
Yeah, awesome. So my background is a little diverse. I was always in for-profit marketing, sales. I did what I call my gap year in supply chain management, working for a semiconductor manufacturing company in Phoenix, which was phenomenal. But I really I think like a lot of, I'm sure your audience, felt a tug and pull on my heart to want to do something more for the kingdom and to not only be making rich people richer. So I applied for a role at Alliance Defending Freedom and got into fundraising and a lot more digital marketing, focusing on resources and getting people involved in what the nonprofit, our nonprofit was doing. And it's been awesome. I love the nonprofit space.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more for those who aren't familiar with Alliance for Defending Freedom. Tell them a little bit more about what that organization does and kind of what their mission is.
Yeah, absolutely. So the mission of Alliance Defending Freedom is to keep the door open for the gospel. And they do that by providing services to Christians and people of faith who are being persecuted in our environment and culture today, who just want to live out their faith. And so it is a legal ministry where we have attorneys and allied attorneys come and defend these people all the way up into the Supreme Court. Most recently, not quite most recently, but probably most famously, ADF was involved in the overturn of Roe v. Wade. So that was a huge monstrosity of a victory, and we're praising God for his goodness in that.
That's amazing. Very, very cool. And so now I understand that recently kind of made a huge transition going into entrepreneurship life. What's that journey been like for you?
Yeah. If you had asked me or told me a year ago that I would give up the career world and the ladder climbing and all of that to be a stay-at-home mom and run my own business, I would have laughed, because I fully intended to do it all, have the career, have the nanny, have all of everything, so that I could continue my career. And through many events that the Lord used to open my eyes to say, hey, I want you to trust me in this new venture, which was kind of scary to walk away from everything and to start up my own marketing consulting agency. It's called Micah 68 Marketing. So I'm doing that now and staying home with my 1-year-old, and it's been great. It's been great. A great journey of faith as well.
That's awesome. I love it. Yeah, absolutely. No, that's huge. I can remember 3 years ago or so, whenever we kind of made that jump as well with shares, say, hey, I didn't really think I was going to be anything besides a pastor, and now we're making the jump into entrepreneurship. And God uses those sort of opportunities as a huge way to grow our faith personally, but then to be a huge blessing to others. So, okay, want to dial in a little bit on your experience working with faith-based nonprofits at ADF. Tell the audience a little bit about a campaign, a strategy, something that you all worked on at ADF that you think was one of the coolest things you got to do, or something that's been a really successful campaign when you're in your time at ADF, or even now that you've been on your own with your marketing company.
Yeah, awesome. I'll give ADF examples. I think this is not unique to any nonprofit, but what your donors are looking for is value, and they want to know that their dollars are actually going to the work that they are passionate about. And so, two things. We called in a bunch of our donors and had like a face-to-face meet and greet and said, hey, how are we doing? Give us your feedback on our email strategy. Give us your feedback on our direct mail strategy. Give us feedback, these sorts of things. And then we tried to get a little more in the weeds of A/B testing. If we said this, would you like this? Or how would you respond? Yeah. And the number one element of feedback that they gave us was, we just want you to win. So like, we're a legal organization defending Christians, and we're like, how do you feel, most thanked, that sort of thing. And they were all responding, we just want to know that you're winning. That's the biggest thanks that you could give us. We don't need your tchotchke. We don't need the pen. We don't need,
Yep.
to send us a mailer with a penny in it. So, we'll send it
Yep.
back. And, all of those
Yeah.
work in different audiences, but
Yeah.
that was really unique. So we tried to really up our game as far as thanking people and saying, hey, you were part of this victory. You were part of,
Yeah.
preserving Jack Phillip's freedom, that sort of thing. So
Right.
that's a huge element. The other piece is adding value for people who aren't necessarily bought in enough to your mission to give you a dollar yet, to give you any money. One of the things that we did, because ADF obviously has a lot of controversial topics and stories to talk
Yeah.
about, and a lot of people are uneducated in how to converse in the public square about abortion, about marriage,
Yeah.
about family, the rights of parents, those sorts of things. So what we started doing was creating these conversation guides, and you can go on ADF's website right now under the resources tab and get these for free. But what they are is they're downloadables that give you 3 myths, 3 facts about the First Amendment, or how to talk to your family about being pro-life, those sorts of things. Conversation guides, free downloads that you can download. But how we really upped conversions was by saying, okay, thanks for downloading this guide. It would be like a squeeze page, like a thank you donation page. And that increased donations, conversions, first time, second time gifts. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but that
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
a continual
That's amazing.
element that helps us generate revenue.
Yeah, it's just such a great. I mean, it's just a lead magnet, right? It's classic marketing, right? Like,
Yep.
hey, we're gonna give you something that's actually, maybe you're not there yet, and that's okay. Like, let's
Yep.
not say, oh, well, if you're not there as a donor yet, like, we just won't even do anything for you. Like, we're just waiting for it until you convert. It's instead saying, hey, how do we engage you before you're a donor? Because in a lot of ways, like I mean, you're talking about telling the stories of wins. Like one of the things we talk about all the time is like how you get them is how you keep them. And
Mhm.
so if you get them with great content that's showing them how they can stand up for these values and stand up for these like core truths that as believers we have in the political space, then when you follow that up, you can keep them by showing them the wins and showing them those stories. So I love that. That's so good. Well, hey there, Holy Donuts listeners. Ever feel like your nonprofit's donor experience is like a jelly filled donut with no jelly? Well, don't fret, we found the jelly to your donut dilemma. Enter WeGive, the software tool that's like the cream filling to your eclair, or should I say, the glaze to your donut. With WeGive, you're not just taking a donation, you're rolling out a red carpet for every person who gives to your organization. And with WeGive, you get an incredible donor portal, events, pledges, surveys, segmentation, on and on we could go on the features. And those checkouts, though, smoother than my attempt to make homemade donuts, which let's just say didn't quite rise to the occasion. See what I did there? With WeGive's innovative engagement tools, your donors won't just feel the love, they'll be coming back for a second. Because nothing says thanks for your dough better than a world-class experience. So if you want to sprinkle some extra special magic on your donor relationships, check out wegive.com. Okay, so shifting gears a little bit, as we kind of look at broader nonprofit space, I know you were at ADF. That was kind of your primary nonprofit experience. When you were there, even with organizations you work with now, are you seeing any trends that are really exciting to you in kind of nonprofit digital space?
Yeah, absolutely. I think AI is super exciting.
Yeah,
I'm probably not the only one who's responding that way, but I think the potential with AI is really awesome. It can take a lot of the guesswork out of what you're doing. It can help boost your creativity. I love some of the digital testing that you're able to do, where you really remove yourself from
yeah,
the test and saying, my limited, I see we can change the color from this to this, or we can put this
yeah,
here and here, and letting AI take the analysis of what you should test, out of your hands, I think is a real benefit. I know a lot of people are afraid of it because it's like, oh, it's going to replace us. AI is not going to replace any of these
yeah,
jobs,
yeah,
but you can definitely use it as a third arm to
yeah,
get more work done, to be more efficient, that sort of thing. So I'm really enjoying following all of these AI bots and video,
yeah,
just all that you can do with it.
yeah. And so on the A/B testing, that's really really interesting. What any tools specifically that you recommend for like generating those A/B test suggestions? Anything you like to use?
Yeah, so we were just in the middle of transitioning to a new platform to do that because we were using Google Optimize, and
Yep.
obviously that's gone now.
Yeah, gone now.
So the two contenders that we were playing with was called Chameleon, and it's spelled
Okay.
with a K, and Web Trends
Okay.
was the other one.
Web Trends and Chameleon. Okay, cool. We'll link to those in the show notes. I don't know if you get an affiliate deal on that. Send us that link if you do. But awesome, awesome. So, okay, reverse side of the coin of the penny in the mail. So, exciting trend. Anything concerning that you're seeing in kind of the digital space for nonprofits?
Yeah, and it's actually going to be the same answer, AI.
Gotcha.
I think if
Yeah.
you have unmonitored AI that you are too much removing yourself from, you're really going to dilute what you're trying to do. AI can be great for generating new ideas. It can be great for, changing tone, that sort of thing. But anyone who's in branding, anyone who is in true marketing, you mess too much with the tone, the structure, those sorts of
Yeah.
things, you're kind of threatening your brand a little bit. So that's something to be cautious of. The next thing is trying to be, I think, too innovative with what AI can do, and you're spending so much time trying to come up with something new and exciting that you are taking yourself away from what you know is tried and true. So
Right.
I think you have to have really good self control with how you're going to use the tool, and make sure you're spending your time where it's actually going to be most profitable.
100%. No, I think you're right. The AI is, I think of it very similar to, I talk about this because we work a lot with organizations on their design and visual identity. It's I've seen it with copywriting specifically and with brand messaging start to have the Canva effect that Canva had on design, which is it's a great tool in many ways to democratize design. But there's also problems when everyone now is a designer who doesn't have formal training on like text hierarchy and font selection and all the things that you have to do really, really well to actually create great design. And yes, we're happy that people have that tool, but it so sets the bar low for anyone can enter in, which means anyone can enter in. And AI, in some ways,
Mhm.
for it's turning people who were not copywriters previously into I can be a copywriter. Let me spin this up because I have AI now, and it's a little bit different. You still need to know the foundations and understand the brand and do the heavy lifting on the back end. And so we always say like, hey, listen, AI is a great tool when used in the hands of an expert who knows what they're doing already that has the foundations in place. So no, 100% agree. So what resources are there out there that you love that you'd recommend to other folks in the kind of digital nonprofit space? Any books, any podcasts, any websites? Like what is there that when you're just saying, hey, I'm just scrolling through this on my feed, this is the stuff I like to learn from.
Yeah.
What of that do you like to pass on to others? Anything there?
Absolutely. Well, if you're if you're new to digital marketing, HubSpot, their blog is phenomenal. I mean, I feel like that one goes
Okay.
without
Yeah.
saying.
Yep.
And Next After has a lot of great resources and tests and those sorts of things. So definitely subscribe to their blog as well. Promoters of Neo. When I got the questions that you asked, I was like, "Oh, the books," because I love
Yeah.
the
I
business
love it.
books. So I'm going to give
Good.
two if you don't mind,
Cool.
because one is a
Yeah.
complete bear, and if anyone's listening and they want to get
Yep.
this one, they might be intimidated by how long it was. But it's called The Phoenix Project, and
Okay.
it's a fiction business novel, which I had never darkened the pages of a business novel before,
Yeah.
but it's based on a true story. And it really shows the necessity of building to scale, of making sure that keeping the most important thing the most important thing. And I don't know. It's an excellent book that shows so many business processes that are, I
Yeah.
think, highlight the weaknesses of many nonprofits. Where you're not building to scale, you're chasing ideas that potentially could lead to donors, that could lead to leads, that could. And sometimes I feel like we lose our focus because we've got so many of these passionate ideas that could be really cool, but they're never fully thrown out and vetted all the way.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I love that book. The other one for any marketers or advertisers, Persuasion, it's called.
Okay.
This book is basically into pre-selling what you have to offer your donors. So it's getting into the psychology of how you create your ads, how you create display ads where you don't have enough time to actually sell your value proposition and you're really trying to get the click. and then combining the elements of design and copy, how to structure emails, and they go through a lot of tests that they've done, that show like, oh yeah, you can see the thought process that people are going to, and the reasons behind why the funnel is the way the funnel is. So I've gotten, I try to keep my books pristine. I don't like to mark in them. I don't like to break them. And I have so many pages dog-eared in this book. So I totally broke all my rules saying like, oh my goodness, I need to try this. I need to try this. I need to try this. So those are two books I definitely recommend to anyone who's getting into this.
Very cool. Very cool. No, those are great. And what I love about those is they're like, I've never had someone recommend those before. So I've got Persuasion on a bookshelf somewhere. I had a professor in seminary one time tell me that books on your bookshelf are not for reading, but for reminding you of how little you know. And so I've taken that mantra. I just collect books that I've not read yet. So it's on one of my shelves somewhere. So now I'll go dive into it. I'll make that next on the list. So thank you for the recommendations there. Sadie, if folks want to connect with you on socials, on like what's the best way to get in contact with you, whether they want to work with you, whether they are just saying, hey, no, you just got a lot of interesting stuff, I'd love to pick your brain more, or hey, I have a question about this with their nonprofit, how would you attack this? What's the best way to get in contact with you if they wanted to chat with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm starting to be much more active on there. And Sadie Brandon is my name. And if you want, you can check out my website, which is MIC68 Marketing LLC.com. And those are probably the two best ways to get a hold of me. Happy to chat with anyone who has questions or looking for a third party to come in and do some consulting, or just grow the network. I do want to be a resource for my clients of saying, hey, I might not be super strong in this element of marketing, fundraising, that sort of thing, but let me connect you with someone else who is. So I would really love to expand my network with people who are passionate and great at their job and wanting to help others grow in their business. So let's connect.
Awesome. Well, Sadie, thank you so much for the time today. Seriously, so enjoy the conversation. I learned a ton. I know the audience learned a ton. Thank you for joining us on the podcast today. Absolutely. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for having me. Great chatting, and take care.